When it comes to improving your pace control and your touch when you get out to play on the golf course, there's lots of little exercises and drills you can do. And in a previous tip, we spoke about a great way to manage controlling the right club head speed, so you can make sure you're having the same inputs, so your stroke length and your tempo and your rhythm and your acceleration, to give you consistency of outcome. But when you get to the golf course, you've got one chance, you've got one opportunity to look at a putt, assess it, hit it, and create the right outcome. And quite often I'll see players on the practice green and they'll drop 2 or 3 balls in the same place and putt them from 30 feet to a hole. And then they'll move those balls away from the hole and putt them 15 feet across to the next hole and repeat that process around the green. And I think part of the problem there, whilst that can certainly be okay in places, part of the problem there, particularly before you go to play, is that there's not enough variety in the practice that you're doing. So because you only get one chance on the golf course, at some point your practice has to look like your play, and you need to just give yourself one opportunity to get the putt right. And the exercise I've created here is a really good one for that. So I'm stood here by the hole I'm going to putt to, and I'll position 3 balls on the green. They're at 20, 30 and 40 feet. Now, the aim of the game here is to hit them in turns. I'll hit the 20-foot putt first, 30-foot putt second, 40-foot putt third. And my aim here is to try to putt those golf balls so they finish within 10% of their starting distance from the hole. So on the 20-foot putt, I'm trying to roll it within 2 feet. When it comes to the 30-foot putt, 3 feet, and the 40-foot putt, 4 feet. So I've got 9 feet total in proximity there to play with, and my aim is to, on each of those 3 putts, get it inside that 10% rule. So this is where now I start to have to think a little bit about the putt I'm hitting. So in the scenario I've got here, the putt's ever so slightly downhill. It's a reasonably straight putt. But once I've got myself set there, again, I'm going to come in, get myself set, look at the hole for my practice stroke, try and get some feel of what I'm going to try to do when it comes into the putt, into the golf ball. We'll roll it down there. Okay, it's tracking down there quite nicely. And I've left it maybe a couple of inches short. So I'd look at that, it's inside that 2-foot window. The idea of never up, never in is not necessarily true, because if I run it 4 feet by, you can't tell me that's better than an inch short. You know, there's every chance I'll miss that 4-footer back, whereas on another day it'd be very easy for that putt to roll a bit further. So I'm happy with that as my first putt. Back into my 30-footer now, so obviously I can appreciate I'm much further from the hole. Get myself set there. Same idea, so I'm just thinking about lengthening my stroke appropriately, letting my eyes fixate on the hole there. Okay, set myself in. One last look at the hole. Run it down there. And again, as I can see that run down, it's maybe 18 inches short, but again, from 30 feet, I'd be more than happy with that as a putt, as it's a comfortable tap in for my second. And then finally onto the 40-foot putt here, obviously the longest of them all. A couple of practice strokes again, just appreciating that the stroke length needs to be the factor that changes. Okay, good, feels good there, into the ball, eyes back onto the hole. Feel like I've raced that a little bit, but as it runs down there, it's maybe gone a foot past the hole. So if I got my proximity there, I've basically got 2 feet here, 1.5 feet here, so 3.5 feet. Let's call it 4 feet in total of proximity. You know, I can be, I've got 3 safe putts there. I'm not adding in any stress by either leaving a putt 4 or 5 feet short or running a putt 4 or 5 feet by. There's a lot to be said for that over a round of golf. If you look at stats from the PGA Tour, players, once they get outside 10 and 15 feet, aren't holing many putts. The key here is just don't 3-putt, particularly from 20 and 30 feet. You know, there's going to be the odd situation where if you're 50, 60 feet from the hole, you're probably going to be putting over some ridges and slopes. It's going to be hard to 2-putt. But if you can take away those wasted shots where you've 3-putted from 20 feet, I think it can have a huge impact on your score. And I think the beauty as well is, like, just don't give yourself a chance to miss that 4 or 5 foot putt. Dialing in your speed, rolling the ball the exact speed you intended every time, gives you a much better opportunity of holding the putt. But as I said, having simple tap-ins, or your friend saying just pick it up, that's fine. And I think that kind of idea of some block practice where you drop 3 balls, putt them to one hole, pick them up, putt them to another hole, there can be a place for that. But particularly before you go to play a competition round, I would try and encourage you to do something along these lines if you can, because I think it just switches on those skills of adapting and adjusting to the type of putt you're about to hit that little bit quicker than if you hit the same putt from the same place every time. I think this is a great exercise. Now, when you're doing that, I guess the second part to think about would be to try and change the putt. So if I repeated this exercise now, I've just done it downhill there fairly straight. Next time I might do it the other way up the green, so make sure it's an uphill putt. You might then start to see some trends within within your practice, whereby you recognise that, yeah, actually when I do get downhill, I'm a bit more cautious. And you can start to explore why that is. Is it something mechanically that's changing in my stroke? Is it me responding and reacting to the type of putt I'm hitting? At least you can explore those avenues and try to understand your putting a little bit better. So when you get out to the golf course, you've got an opportunity to then manage that and be aware of what the pitfalls in certain scenarios might be. So I think this is a great little exercise. It'll be something you can do regularly, particularly as green speeds change coming out of winter into summer or vice versa. And I think adding some variety of up and downhill to it as well really gives you the best chance of when you get out onto the golf course, you're going to be switched on and roll that first putt stone dead.